Welcome to Verbal Tap, the show that proves that fighting is much easier from outside the cage. Now, many of you may notice this isn't Kevin, who's leading off the podcast right now. That is because Kevin is actually getting ready to go to Washington, D.C., I think. And he's about to be, I guess, traveling either for fun or pleasure. I don't really talk to Kevin all that much, aside from when we're doing the podcast, so I really don't know what he's all about. But yes, we have come back today for what we like to call an emergency broadcast. Because here's the thing, guys. When you have the winner of EBI giving you a call and saying that he would like to talk, well, my friends, you take that phone call. That's right. Today, we have a very special episode of Verbal Tap with our good friend, Geo Freakazoid Martinez. And Geo was nice enough to give us some of his time. And I couldn't be happier because this whole interview that we did today took us through all of the mentality he had going into EBI. We talk about his history of how he got involved in Jiu-Jitsu. We talk a little bit about, some of the drama that seemed to follow into this whole EBI 10 preparation, as well as, maybe how some of the past performances at EBI prior came to fuel him for something incredibly amazing here today. But guys, I can't tell you enough how much I appreciate Geo for taking his time to talk with us. Most importantly, because of this reason. You guys have gotten used to seeing me do interviews after EBI where I get excited because I get to talk with our friends. And one of the things that really bummed me out about this one was this was the first EBI I've missed since EBI 2. So I've been at every single one of them. And I've always loved trying to talk with the athletes to get a perspective of what they're thinking, where their game was, or what stuff they didn't expect, because in that moment you really get a raw response from what it is they felt and they were thinking. And for Geo to go ahead and give us his time here today, we not only got that, but we got a little bit more. We got to spend a whole hour and I think 10 minutes talking about just about anything you can imagine. So I don't want to waste any more time. I want to get you guys straight to the interview. I hope you guys enjoy it as much as we do here. And I know Kev, when I told him I was going to be doing the interview, he was a little bummed that he wouldn't get to talk with Geo because Geo's a beast. But he was so excited to hear that Geo wanted to give us the exclusive to talking about his EBI performance and much, much more. So we hope that you guys enjoy the interview. And without any further ado, let's get straight to it. Ladies and gentlemen, we are so excited because the minute we saw our good friend Geo Freakazoid win at fucking EBI, all of us went nuts. All of us went crazy. And I sent a note over to him. He has been so nice to grant us an interview just immediately after winning. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our good friend, your good friend, Geo Freakazoid Martinez. Geo, how are you doing, man?
Doing good, man. Doing good, and thanks for the introduction, and really appreciate the love. You already know that.
Dude, I mean, here's the thing, is it's a really easy thing to get behind you. You are one of the nicest people in all of Jiu-Jitsu, not just 10th Planet, but just all in Jiu-Jitsu. I think people wanted to see you versus Eddie, so there was already so many narratives that people were getting behind you. You're already a champ. I think it just seemed like something that everybody wanted to will to happen. When you were going into this, though, what was your mentality going into EBI 10?
I definitely felt a lot of pressure, but I felt really confident, too, because I know I felt strong in that weight class. I don't really have to cut too much weight. And, I felt pressure just like any other tournament, and I really wanted to do good. And I know, I have a lot of good support, and I want to make them proud. I want to make the people around me happy, and it felt like I put a lot of pressure on myself, but it was like what I needed to just kind of get me ready physically and mentally. I kept using all that. I like to put pressure on myself just to, just kind of to want to step it up. That little pressure or that pressure you put on yourself can benefit you in the long run if you know how to handle it. Some people don't like handling pressure. I like it. It felt good. It felt I had a lot of pressure going on to the tournament, but that made me want to train harder. It made me want to train smarter, and it just made me want it more. So I felt really good, though, honestly, physically and mentally as well.
How do you get that in check? Like, especially week of, like, how is it, if you are putting that pressure on yourself, how is it that you're able to kind of navigate that to get you in that place ready to go mentally of week of competition?
It's like an inner battle, like it's hard sometimes. Like sometimes you need good support. You need good people around you, and you need to just kind of remember that you're doing this because you want to do it, because you like to do it, not because anybody's forcing me to do it. Like this is what I want to do. So I like to put the pressure on myself, and I also remind myself that it's a game though. It's for fun. Win or lose, ultimately, I love doing it. So I'm not scared to lose either. And it happens sometimes, but I let the pressure. I use it as a tool to motivate me more instead of using it as something that drags me down. Everybody feels pressure. It just depends how you kind of look at it, and it's not easy, not even for me. Probably I know high level guys that always tell me like, they feel like throwing up sometimes before they compete and they get nervous. Like everybody gets nervous, but it's not necessarily because you think you're gonna get hurt. It's more because you want to do good.
Yeah.
It's that inner you. You wanna prove to yourself that you're actually training the smart way, and you're pushing it and you're doing the right thing. Because especially when you're working hard, like you don't want to disappoint people, but especially you don't want to disappoint yourself. That's what really counts. Like I don't want to disappoint myself, and I want to go out there and like prove to myself what I'm capable of doing.
I see that so much with you in that, you're always game for any kind of competition. We see you doing multiple types of competitions, so I always appreciated that about you. I have to ask, though, when you saw this, obviously there was a lot of people who wanted to see you and Eddie, and we're going to get to all of that in a bit, but were there any people that stood out to you that you looked at that you were like, you wanted to match with, or that like just you were intrigued by when you saw the list of competitors?
Yeah, like honestly, at first I wanted to, of course, I wanted to go up against like Samir and like Brock the Plata, and I'm really disappointed that they dropped. Like they would have made the win a little bit better. I would have felt like happy to be one of them along the way, and I felt I could have. So it was like I feel really confident when it comes down to the EBI submission rules. That's what we really train for. So I was ready to go up against some of those guys and kind of show them that like it's a different kind of style of jiu-jitsu. I got respect for all those guys. They're really talented. Don't get me wrong, and they probably could do some damage themselves. But like I said, I feel this is like my kind of tournament, and I feel I have the advantage. So I was ready to compete against those guys, even if I had to beat them in the finals or in the beginning, whatever. I was just ready to compete against them too, and like prove that to the kind of the people that are obsessed with IBJJ. I wanted them to, there's a lot of different guys that only focus on the IBJJ tournaments. They don't really think about the sub-only tournaments. And, to have two guys like that pretty much won every medal in those IBJJ tournaments, to see them compete in the EBI rule set, that's kind of intriguing. That's interesting. I think a lot of people would like to see that too. So I kind of wanted to do that too. But, I saw a lot of good matches. Of course, like seeing, the guy from the UK, Ashley Williams, is really good, and he had a tough match versus, one of the Mexican dudes, Alexis was, everyone thought that guy, the guy from the UK was going to come in there and kind of get on Alexis, but if you know Alexis, he's a killer, he trains hard, and those guys they have a lot of heart, so it was very interesting to see Alexis win that first match right there and kind of took out Ashley Williams, which everyone thought Ashley Williams had a really good chance because he was already he did a really good showing for the 145 versus a very tough opponent. So it was I was curious to see what he was going to do. He ended up losing first round to Alexis, and Alexis was like, to me, like the surprise. He came through and kind of submitted beat a good solid black belt, and not only that, it was an entertaining match. So I really wanted to see how that match was going to go through, and of course, like seeing Barry Yoshida, he's always a legend. I will always love to go up against him. I haven't went up against him, and yeah, I have a lot of respect for him. I've been watching him since before I even knew what jiu-jitsu was. Barry Yoshida's kind of like, he like watching his matches are like they're very, to me, they help me out a lot. They're very interesting. I love watching his style. He always had a unique style, and coming up, he was one of the guys I really looked up to, and just to compete. I haven't got the chance to compete against him, so there's a possibility I might have went up against him, and I was like ready to go up against him too. But really, like I like going up against guys that I never went up against. So it was cool to see different people that they're not really around me, or I never really got the chance to compete against them. It was cool to just get the chance to experience new people, new body types, and people that never got to roll with anybody like me. I guess it felt good just to kind of like put my style, like represent my style and just show them that I'm different. I'm not a typical jiu-jitsu dude.
That's putting it lightly, yeah, definitely. Especially with your flexibility. There are definitely moments when I'm watching you compete that I go, yeah, my leg's broken there. Nope. And I mean, you mentioned Barrett Yoshida. I think it's no secret now that our good friend Eric Medina, he was going up against him first round. I was texting him back and forth, and I was helping him get ready for EBI. And then all of a sudden I look and I see Barrett Yoshida, and I go, well, dude, he's a legend. Let's get that out of the way. And number two, he's going to have every wily, crafty trick in the book. And I was like, good luck figuring out anything on that part, dude, because that was it.
He did really good, though. Eric did really good, and it was a good battle. I was surprised. Like, Eric looked good in that weight class. He looked like he was ready, and Barrett Yoshida kind of looked like the weight cut kind of affected him a little bit, So it's like, I like how Eric looked. He did a good weight cut, and he looked ready. He was playing the game smart and took Barrett Yoshida to overtime. And honestly, I thought Barrett Yoshida was in trouble with that arm triangle at the end. He held on, and I guess time beat Eric, but definitely that was good to see that too. I was like, whoa, like you never know what's gonna happen in EBI. EBI has it's unpredictable. It's like you don't know. So going into EBI, I think the same way. I'm like, man, like I don't underestimate anybody. I feel like everybody's gonna try to kill me like right off the bat, and that everybody has the potential of kind of shooting and landing. So I don't. people just start shooting crazy. It's like we're both trying to catch each other first, but so I got to be ready always, and I never underestimate anybody. And it's interesting rolling against people you never rolled with or never really seen too much of, because then it's like you never know what to expect, and it kind of brings out the best out of you sometimes.
Well, the big joke that we had was we heard Barrett was a little over, I guess, going into it, and I had kept telling Eric this and kept telling him, and I was like, he's like, yeah, dude, we're hearing maybe he might be a little over or something, and I was like, don't believe it. Don't believe it. He's too crafty. It's all a lie. Yeah. He's going to lose that weight like in 2 seconds. It's just...
He did.
Sure enough, he did. I was like, yeah, dude, I was like, don't believe a damn word they're saying. So it's very nice of you to compliment Eric. He was very, very... He said that afterwards you went up and you greeted him and you said some really nice things. And obviously that's great. Yeah. And I mean, for Eric being a purple belt, taking it to a legend who's a black belt longer than he's probably even been doing jiu-jitsu, like, that's the beauty of what EBI provides, I think, for individuals to really test themselves on a large scale like that.
Not everybody can rise to the occasion either. It's hard up there. It's not easy.
Yeah, definitely, man. So I have to ask you this, because you're mentioning observing people. And, I want to get to your competition a little bit and actually the process of Mexico. But I am interested to hear, how is it that you're able to process and watch people as this tournament's going on? Because aren't you in your zone, but you're also observing your competitors for future hints or ideas or concepts? And some people just don't even watch. So where do you fall on that spectrum?
I enjoy watching jiu-jitsu competitions, and I feel it just gives me more pump, and it kind of allows me to see what's happening in the moment, kind of analyzing how the event's going and what's working for other people and what's not working for other people. And I like to study while I'm competing, like I'm trying to create a game plan mentally, and just to make me feel a little more confident when I go on the mat. I kind of have a strategy for every individual, and I get ideas from other people doing certain things. So I always felt that was important. I used to do that in breakdancing. Like, I would love to watch my competition while they're battling, just to kind of see what I'm gonna get myself into, who I'm gonna battle, or what kind of style I'm gonna battle. And that works very similar to jiu-jitsu. So watching other people compete and watching other people go out there, it just kind of mentally prepares me, and I create a game plan for everybody. And it helps out sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't really come to play, but it's definitely something that makes me feel more confident before I get on the mat.
Is it hard to get lost in it because you're a fan? Because I know just without even competing when I'm watching you guys, you can get lost in like what the matches are because they get so exciting at times.
Yeah, it just makes me want to jump in there. I like doing that, but every time I watch a good match, it's something I'm like, man, I wish that was me. I wish I was in there. I wish I was the guy in that position or that moment, And it's just kind of like I want to be that guy. Like I like watching it, so I even like doing it even more. You know what I mean? Like watching it's cool, but if I get the opportunity to do it, it just kind of it makes me more hype. I get more hype for that. I'm like, oh shit, like I get really pumped when someone like does something else. I feed off that energy, and I'm like, it's my turn. Like I want to go in there and feed off that energy and kind of use it towards my advantage.
One thing I've always been curious with you, just in terms of your own personality and how you've transitioned to jiu-jitsu, and you mentioned this with the competition scene for breakdancing, like how similar and how different are they? Because I'm just curious, because I know from what I know from people that you were well known on the breakdancing circuit for a long time, and people had a high amount of respect for you there. And they said that you
Yep.
approach the competition scene similarly, but I don't know that people fully understand that. Is there a major difference, or is it more similar than people think?
Very similar. Definitely very similar. I feel like that's always been something that a key a key point to my success in jiu-jitsu. I feel has been like my breakdancing experience, and battling, because it's very intense. The battlefield, the battle scene is very intense. You have to be a high level athlete. You got to be training day and night. You have to train yourself. You don't really have a coach. It's really you training yourself with your crew and your buddies, and you guys kind of making each other train every day for nothing. You're not making money. You're not doing much, but you're pushing yourself to train because what you love to do, and you love to challenge your body and your mind physically. And you're constantly thinking about different patterns and memorizing patterns and thinking about different concepts and all that stuff. You train really hard. You put in a lot of work. But then when you go on the battlefield, it's a different kind of pain. When someone's better than you and they beat you because they're better than you, or they just steal the crowd from you, it hurts. Like it's like an insult to your being. Like you're just it doesn't feel good when someone's there. Like it's just better than you, it, and they're cleaner than you, and they're just feeling it better. It kind of hurts your ego, and it's very tough. And jiu-jitsu is similar. You get tapped out, and it sucks physically and mentally. You're constantly competing against somebody, and jiu-jitsu, that's how it works. And breakdancing is like you're competing a lot within yourself, and you're battling, kind of like you're battling the floor. You're battling. You're trying to compete against the floor. You're trying to master the floor, and you're trying to be able to look good in the circle. So that's like your objective. It's a lot of ego checks. And breakdancing and jiu-jitsu. It's like you get choked out by someone that's smaller than you or less experienced than you. It challenges your ego. And dancing is the same thing. Someone beats you or smokes you, it challenges your ego, and it's very mentally draining, and it also makes you mentally stronger at the same time if you overcome it. So you learn your lessons a lot in dancing and in jiu-jitsu, and they're very similar in that sense that it's something that you're really passionate about. There's a winner and there's a loser, and it's definitely not easy to get good at. You have to definitely put in a lot of work to be a world-class breakdancer. You have to put in as much work as a black belt does to get his black belt in jiu-jitsu, maybe even more. And it's a lot harder because you don't really have a guideline, and it's like you got to kind of create your own way. And jiu-jitsu, at least there's a guideline. There's kind of like a blue book for every system, and dancing, not really. It's like you got to earn your own respect, and you got to kind of do it over and over and over. It's like so people kind of like you're just in the scene. They just memorize you. They're like, oh shit, that's Freakazoid or that's Boogeyman. I don't want to battle them. Like they're good. Like and they bring it. And the different approach that I have in breakdancing and jiu-jitsu is like when I started battling and b-boying and breakdancing, I was more aggressive. I was more like I just didn't care. Like my personality was like fuck everybody. Like fuck the world. Fuck like it's just us, the freak show versus everybody. Our crew, like we're way different. We're unique. We're not like anybody else. We have our own style. Like we're better than everybody. That's kind of the mentality you gotta have in dancing to do good. You got to kind of have like that aura around you. You got to kind of build that around you. You got to be like, man, like if you start telling everybody that you're like the best and you're not like anybody else, then it becomes true. You know, it just becomes a reality. And at jiu-jitsu, kind of try to have a mentality like that too. Like, man, like my style's different. Like nobody could roll like I do. And I train with the best. I train with Eddie Bravo. I train with super high level guys that understand the system, understand jiu-jitsu. You know, Eddie's from John Jog. John Jog knows so much knowledge. Just like there's so much history within my school that you know, I feel like I know everything in jiu-jitsu. I know a lot of concepts. I know a lot of ideas, and now I gotta execute everything I learned. But it's like it all connects, you know. Jiu-jitsu and breakdancing you can connect them in so many different ways. I can go on forever, and I just kind of feel like I never stop dancing. I still breakdance because I'm doing jiu-jitsu, and I do jiu-jitsu, and I breakdance. They're all connected. It's just one to me. I can't even like tell them apart no more.
Your school seems like the most terrifying to me in this sense, in that I don't know if I'm going to get challenged for a roll or a dance-off. So I think in that respect, I'm always a little apprehensive about what I think goes on in my brain over there. But, Gio, I guess the thing I've always wondered is if you make that transition, what was the push that started getting you from breakdancing to jiu-jitsu? Like, it seemed like you were so loved and you loved that sort of thing. I'm curious where the passion for jiu-jitsu took you to doing more of this.
Like, I just wanted something different, you know. Like, I felt like breakdancing. I felt like even though I accomplished a lot, you know, a lot more than a lot of breakdancers did it, and I did it in a young age, and I felt like I did it, you know, and I felt like kind of like accomplished, but it wasn't really getting me anywhere. It wasn't really doing anything for me. It's like I feel you can hit. Now it's different a little bit, but when I was doing it, like you can't really do anything with being the best breakdancer in the world. Like I kind of got burned out, you know, and I saw a lot of old school breakdancers just kind of end up like wasting their talent, you know, and I just knew I was like I needed something else to make me more happy with myself, you know what I mean? Like I wanted to be good at more than just one thing. I didn't want to just be known for like, oh, Gio, he's just a breakdancer. I want to be good at everything, and I still want to learn new things, and I want to do as much as I can with my potential, you know. Just there's so many different opportunities, so many different things to do in this world that I don't want to just get stuck in one thing. So I made that leap, and I had an opportunity. I always kind of loved martial arts and mixed martial arts, but I never could afford it when I was younger. So the chance I got the chance to teach breakdancing and to train for free, and I just kind of took advantage of it, and I ran with it, and I just kind of like, I was like, man, this is my chance. I'm older already. If I keep, you know, I think I could get, like, naturally everybody already were giving me props. They're like, man, you move so good. It feels like you've been rolling for a long time, and I had a lot of good feedback, and I just kind of like had a vision that like, you know, like this is something I'm meant to do. You know, I'm meant to do jiu-jitsu. I always loved wrestling with my brother, like wrestling bigger people, and I was always like just good at wrestling. It was weird, and I never like wrestled or anything like that. I just kind of knew how to grapple, and it just kind of it just transitioned to jiu-jitsu, and I just kind of like got hooked. And like I said, in breakdancing, you really motivate yourself, and you kind of push yourself, and it was kind of easy to do that in jiu-jitsu because I already did it in breakdancing for so many years. It's kind of like I set my mind to it. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna be good at jiu-jitsu. Like I'm gonna do it. And every time I lost to anybody, even if it feels like a higher belt, like a black belt, even when I was a white belt, it would bother me. It's like I want to be better than him. I want to be better than all these guys. Like I was just really like competitive, and I think just like me being a competitive dude and just kind of having that drive to learn something new, and you know, just felt like I was getting older and I needed to master something else, and I needed to kind of like redefine myself, and I felt like this was a great big opportunity, and I knew the martial art world and jiu-jitsu is pretty big, and you know, it's very intriguing to me and very interesting, and I just thought it was a natural transition, and it was meant to be, so I just kind of accepted it and went with it.
Well, I mean, you excelled so fast in it, and one thing I've always been curious in terms of asking people, especially who excel fast or who have such a passion and they're so good at something else and then they transition and they are successful in this, is when did it click for you? When was the moment that you both knew you were in jiu-jitsu and that you felt that you had maybe your biggest breakthrough?
I remember, I remember being in Chicago, and like I lived in Chicago for like about like 2 years, and I knew this like martial artist guy over there. He was like kind of like a Shotokan dude, and he trained like jiu-jitsu too, and like I think he was a blue belt jiu-jitsu, and he was a really good like striker, MMA like amateur fighter or whatever. And we all thought he was a super badass because he could fight and like, you know, he could fight good. And I remember like he was teaching us like jiu-jitsu a little bit. And we were like rolling with him, and he just like destroyed everybody and like made us feel like like whack, you know. And I was like, whatever, like this guy's way better than me. I'll never be able to be better than this guy. And then and I started training with Sean Bollinger when I moved back to San Diego. I met Sean Bollinger, and I started training with Sean Bollinger, and I was like, man, this guy's in a whole this kid's a black belt, you know. He's my age. This guy's a black belt, and he's freaking. I never felt a black belt in my life, so I felt like how Sean Bollinger rolls, and I just kind of like, I knew if I stuck with him and kind of like became a sponge and learned what the fuck he was doing, that I could get good. And you know, I kind of like just start training with him every day, you know, and like training it hard every day, just kind of rolling with him until he got sick of me rolling with him, and I roll with him all the time. And then about a month later, I did my first tournament a month later, and it was like a blue belt and white belt tournament. It was the first Gracie Nationals I did, but at that point they mixed like early beginners and then like intermediate and advanced, and the beginners, it was still blue belt and a white belt together. So I ended up like competing there. There's like, I felt everybody was a blue belt except me, and it was just, I only had a month in, but I like ran through everybody too like fast. And Eddie Bravo was there, and that was the first time Eddie Bravo ever noticed me. And he kind of told me, he's like, man, like, who are you? Like, where do you train at? And I told him, and he's like, he recorded it, he put it on one of the MTS, and I remember him just telling me, like, you know, he was just so happy that I just like won that tournament like easy. I took out like blue belts, like I think I submitted everybody that day, and it was just like my first tournament ever, a month of training, and then that kind of made me feel really good. Like I figured something out. You know, it was my first tournament. I won, and it's like as predicted. Because I was like, man, you're gonna kill it. You already at my first tournament, and it just happened. Like what I visualized, it happened, and I wanted to make an impact with Eddie. I wanted Eddie to know who I was, and then that same day, it was the first time my brother Boogeyman, he saw me compete. He hasn't even started training jiu-jitsu, and he's like, he was like right there in the sidelines cheering me on, and he was like, come on, let's go, Freakazoid, like, kill it, you know, like, he was like, it was like a fight to him, you know, like, he was just like show him what's up, you know, freak show, and like, and it was just like, I was pumped, and he got pumped, and he's like, he was living in Monterey Bay at that time, and I remember he came over, and he's like, let's wrestle, let's grapple, you know, and we're just grappling, and like, I could never tap my brother out. He's always been my big brother. He always could be my ass, and I just kind of like tapped him out a few times, like where you know, just pure jiu-jitsu technique. He was tripping out, you know. It was like he couldn't believe it, you know. And then he just like that whole week he's like, hey, I want to learn, and I just like stayed there, and like we just pretty much trained for like a week at his house. Or I mean, at my mom's house, and we just kind of like once we trained, we just kind of like he just fell in love with it. I remember just we were being like in the living room, and I was just like showing him a bunch of like random stuff that I know, and he picked it up really fast too. He once he started, he didn't turn back, and he got good fast as well. And around that time was like, or back to the story, I went back to Chicago that same month, or a month after, and I rolled with that guy, and I destroyed him, and that was like very significant to me. I was like, wow, like jiu-jitsu works. Like this guy was like, he trained his whole life Shotokan, like martial arts. I never thought I had a chance to make him tap out, and then he even admitted, he's like, man, you're better than me. Like he couldn't believe it. And it was like, I was like, man, I'm learning a lot from Sean Bollinger and Sam Planet, and this is something unique, and this shit works, you know. And it's easy for me. I understand it. It's fun. Like I dream about jiu-jitsu. You know, I was thinking about it all day, every night. I was just like, it felt like it was like a brand new drug, you know, like, you know, like I was addicted to b-boying. How I used to feel about b-boying and breakdancing. I kind of lost that feeling, and I found it through jiu-jitsu again, and it just felt like whoa, like this is a whole new high. This is different, but it's similar to the feeling that I already had before. It's like all I could think about. Like I can't stop thinking about it, and then it was hard for me to admit that. You know, it was hard for me to be like, man, like do I like jiu-jitsu more than I like breakdancing? And like now I just accept both of them, you know. But back then it was like, am I like losing love for breakdancing and like just kind of fall in love with jiu-jitsu? And I did for a while, but then, you know, after a while you kind of start missing breakdancing too. So I just kind of, it's a balance. They both keep me balanced, and they both make me happy. So I just do both because it's what I like to do, you know.
I have I guess a funny aside for your brother. I saw your brother at a San Diego tournament over the weekend, and I looked at him,
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I'm going to get his attention, but I don't think he's actually, like, we had said hello real quick, and he was rightfully giving PJ all the love, who had a great match over this weekend, the 5 Super League. And I was trying to get his attention, and I was like, you know what? Fuck this. And I was like, hey, Geo. And he looks at me, and he's like, Boogie. And I was like, hey, but that's not a bad thing to be called right now, is it? And I figured, I was like, you know what? I think there's no better way than to be like, my little brother is the shit. Because I'm sure for years, you have gotten the opposite. But for that, I mean, just the look at his face as soon as he saw I was joking, and then just the immediate release into, my brother's pretty badass. That look of how proud he was of you. I've always wondered, what is that like as a resource? Because so many of us don't have families who do jiu-jitsu. So a lot of the times we sound like the crazy person being like, guys, seriously, jiu-jitsu is fucking amazing, and I'm going to stop talking about it in 3 hours, I promise. But for you guys to have someone that you can bounce ideas off of, what is the best aspect of having your brother as a resource, just in terms of not just your jiu-jitsu, maybe practicing, but also maybe for the mentality? I've always wondered what that's like for you guys.
I feel like having like a big brother that does jiu-jitsu and understands jiu-jitsu just as good as you do is good for me physically and mentally. He understands the process of training hard and, you know, kind of staying consistent. So if I'm slacking off, anything like that, he's real quick to call me out, and he's always honest. You know, having an older brother or like a brother or like any sibling that trains, like, you know, if anybody can tell you the truth, it's your brother. You know, he knows he can criticize me, and I have to humble myself out because I know it's my brother. He's not like just being an asshole trying to call me out. He's being honest, you know, and he says it how it is. And I always appreciate him telling me shit the way it is, you know, not kind of sugarcoating anything. And I'm the same way to him. Like, I don't bullshit to him, you know. He doesn't bullshit to me. Like, if I'm not training hard or if I didn't look good in a tournament or, you know, if I'm doing something that he doesn't like or, you know, just like kind of criticizing me for the good. Like, constantly making sure that I'm on my keeping me on my toes, and not ever giving me that easy props. You know, not being like, "Oh yeah, you're the man. You got everything figured out." It's more like the opposite. It's more like you need to step it up. You know, there's people out there training way harder than you, or like he puts me in a bad situation. He's like, "Well, what if this was this tournament coming up?" And you know, I always know when me and him roll, when we gotta roll, I know he's gonna give it all he got. We both get frustrated with each other, like, you know, but it's a super good competitive kind of role. You know, it's not like we're trying to go easy on each other, but then again, we want both of us to bring it. You know, I want him to bring the heat, and he wants me to bring the heat. We want to go 100%, but we respect each other. That's why we go 100% with each other. And I think ultimately, I want to see him succeed, and he wants to see me succeed. So it's like I want him to be well prepared. I don't want him to go to war and like not be prepared because, you know, I'm not pushing him, and he feels the same way about me. So I know the harder I go with him, the more prepared he's going to be when he goes to a tournament. He feels the same way, I'm sure. Because when I roll with him, he's fucking not going easy against me. You know, he's really trying to put it on me, and that's what I love about him. And you know, when I'm in a tournament, you know, when I lose, he's the first one to, you know, kind of like be there and kind of like let me know what happened, but be real to me. But make sure he reminds me that, you know, it's going to be all right and it's not the end of the world. And it's kind of good to hear that from someone that knows the game, that knows jiu-jitsu, and you know, he's felt it and he's been there before, win and loss. So when he wins, you know, it feels obviously super good, you know, for the same way it goes for him. When I win, it feels good, but when he loses or when I lose, we both feel it together. You know, we lose together and it hurts for both of us, but you always need a voice of reason. You know, you need someone that can kind of switch the mood and kind of just remind you that, you know, tomorrow's another day and the world still turns, and no matter what, you got to keep your head up. You know, you always need someone that you trust and you respect to tell you that shit, because, you know, like, no matter how strong you are mentally and physically, it's like losing sucks for anybody. So, you know, when you got to deal with those kind of situations, it's always nice to hear from someone that you know cares about you, and you know, that's been doing it before you in jiu-jitsu, been there with breakdancing, with other sports. Like, you know, he's always been there, kind of just making sure that, you know, no matter what happens, I keep moving forward and just keep a positive state of mind, and, you know, just stay strong. And it's easy to break, and it's easy to want to quit things, and it's easy to feel weak, but it's just kind of something you got to get over, and you got to be able to be strong and overcome things like that. And sometimes it's hard doing it by yourself. So having your brother, like my brother, it's a good thing. You know, it's a positive thing, and it's something that I always kind of appreciated it. You know, like a lot of people, you know, they have brothers or sisters, and I'm sure that if they train together, they have similar experiences and they have similar relationships because, you know, we're grinding together, we're doing this together. I love seeing my brother's school, you know, succeed. Like I saw where his life came from and how much work he puts in, and you know, he wakes up at 6 o'clock in the morning every day, and like he's at his gym till like, you know, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock every day, just kind of training people, you know, making sure the school goes good, and you know, he has an awesome school, is very successful, and he's doing an excellent job, and I know all the work he put in. So me seeing that, it makes me happy. Or me seeing him go to a tournament and you know smash, you know, a lot of people, and you know really submit a lot of people, and it's really good, really good. You know, Richie's been a lot of good guys that are super experienced, and you know, Richie's going to train jiu-jitsu for like 5.5 years probably. You know, like a lot of people don't realize Richie's new to the game. He's accomplished a lot in jiu-jitsu and MMA in such a short time that like that just like I like having a brother this talented and dedicated like that too, and you know, it just kind of I take advantage of it because I don't just kind of like, oh yeah, my brother's good, whatever. No, it's like I want to learn from him. I want to ask questions. I want to roll with him. I want to use my resources and, like you said, as much as I can. You know, not just for one thing, but for many reasons.
Well, I think there was a great moment, and something that I think I won't forget. There's a lot of photo op moments that you had at this tournament, but one that was really great was your brother coming over right after you won. I think he was putting the flag over you. And, you know, like you can't manufacture those moments, and you know that they're real, and it's great between the two of you. So, you know, that's something that's going to live on Fight Pass for a real long time. But speaking of EBI 8, I by the way, I loved hearing all of your background and getting to hear that, because I do believe that even though people don't necessarily have that story, everybody has their jiu-jitsu story, and it's always fascinating to hear that, because when you fast forward and we start going to big competitions like this, your last EBI was, I believe, EBI 7, and it kind of ended in some controversy. And when that happens, it's easy to get discouraged, but I saw you right afterwards, and you were real upbeat. You seemed to take it well in stride. You knew that another opportunity was going to come. Did EBI 7 play any role in how you were prepping for EBI 10?
Definitely, you know, like there's a lot of little things about my game or just my mentality that I didn't really, I wasn't too happy with. So when I went back to the lab, I just used that as motivation, and I just kept reminding myself that. I kept reminding everybody in the gym and everybody that trains with me. I'm pretty honest, you know, when I train, I let everyone know how I feel inside and why I'm training a certain way, and everybody could tell that, you know, there's certain things like overtime, you know, like I lost, by the last two EBIs I lost were in overtimes. Like one was because of the time, and the other one was because of the armbar, and I was like, you know what, like, that really upsets me that I lost in overtime, because I know I'm really hard to submit, you know, and I know I'm really hard to, you know, like honestly, I take pride in being able to survive, and I consider myself like, you know, a guy that you know, like I like to be Houdini, you know, I like to escape very bad positions and kind of fight through stuff, and I know I have that in me. So I was disappointed not to be able to show that in the last couple EBIs. So I really worked on my defense, you know, I really worked on defense. Really understanding that, you know, like, if you're going to tap me out, it's going to have to be, you know, you're going to really have to get something really good, and it's going to have to be really deep, because I'm going to fight, you know, so I can get out. And I think, like, just having that mentality of working a lot of defense builds my confidence, you know, like, I was hard to catch in class. Not a lot of my guys could catch me, and I have a lot of good talented people, and I felt that I was just, like, on fire with my defense. And my defense, like, I felt if you're defensively confident, it's going to be hard for people to catch you. You know, it's going to be hard for people to beat you mentally. So I felt once I kind of got my confidence when it came down to defense, it just kind of the second thing I had to worry about was cardio, and I really worked on my cardio. I really made sure I had good cardio going into Mexico, and we did like no time limit rolls. You know, just rolls. So I was done with you, or you were done. We're both done. You know, I just kept rolling with no time limit, and we just kept rolling for hours, like in class, and just afterwards hitting the bike and just really doing super long rolls to a point that you're frustrated, you know, and against good guys. And once I felt my cardio got a lot better, and you know my tank was a little bit longer, then you know that really gave me confidence going into EBI. I knew I was ready, because those were the main weaknesses that I had at my last couple tournaments, and you're always going to figure out weaknesses and little things that you want to work on, and I'm constantly working on all my weaknesses and my flaws, and that's what's great about jiu-jitsu. You have so much to do, so much to work for, and you can never really get satisfied. So I haven't really taken a break. I don't really take breaks. I feel like I'm always competing for a tournament. I'm always getting ready for a tournament, even if I'm not competing. My teammates or my students are competing, and I want them to feel like they're in camp, and I want them to feel like we're training hard for not just myself, but for them too. So we have that mentality in my gym. We're always training for something. There's always something coming up, and after those EBIs, I never slowed down. I just kept going what I was doing, and it really helped me out for EBI 10. It made me feel confident. Like I said, I went there with a confidence that I usually have, but after those losses, you have to rebuild yourself. Even though that you can improve, and you got to work hard. You got to kind of slowly rebuild your confidence and just kind of tell yourself that you're gonna be better than ever. And I really believe myself, because I worked hard for it, and just training hard and working hard made me really believe it.
Well,
I know I was in there grinding.
I'm sure your students probably at the very onset of you getting ready for camp were like, "Oh Jesus, well,
yeah,
you seriously take it down a notch." But obviously they're getting better at the same time. Now tell me this, because you were there in Mexico about a week ahead of time, right?
Yeah, like a week and a half.
Okay, so when you got out there, I noticed you guys got there early, and that was great. I saw that Eddie was doing boy in a bubble, kind of hyperbolic chamber kind of stuff, because I looked at that, and I looked at Eric, and I was like, I can't give that to you. The closest thing we've got is a plastic bag, and I can punch you in the face a little bit, but we don't have those fancy machines. But then I saw you were over there, and I knew that you were already acclimating to that. How much does that play a factor? Because you said you were working on your cardio. Everybody wanted to know elevation, what that meant. Did you feel it, or did your preparation get you to the point where it felt a little more normal or normalized?
It's just a different kind of feeling when you do anything high elevation, and it just makes you breathe a little heavier. It's a little when you work out in the cold air, I feel like it kind of makes you feel like you gotta take deeper breaths, and I feel like it does that to you. But just kind of going out there early and just kind of doing it over and over, rolling a lot, having some good training partners over there and training and rolling hard, and just doing a lot of cardio with my breakdancing and just movement itself kind of got me familiar to that breathing. It's a different kind of breathing, but once you kind of get used to it and you feel it, it only takes about a week to really get used to it. And I knew that by having a lot of friends that are experienced, and they trained in high elevation before, and they understand the process, and just kind of going there a week ahead, a week and a half ahead, kind of got me a little familiar with that feeling, and it wasn't too bad. I didn't really feel it too much, and I like doing breakdancing sets. It's super tiring, so I burned myself out just kind of breakdancing till I'm done, and that's kind of fun for me too. So it wasn't stressful, or it wasn't anything difficult. It was actually something I like to do. I like to think of myself like the Rocky movie. You know how Rocky's how he's training in the mountains and stuff, doing everything all natural. That's how I was, and I think Eddie Cummings was the Russian. He had the he had the breathing chamber, the high elevation, white blood cell bed or whatever.
Yeah.
It was all fancy and stuff. I didn't have that. I was lifting up rocks in Mexico and fighting little kids selling me chicle over there. Not saying.
That you know what? I'm so angry that the guys at EBI from the production team didn't put that one together. I feel that's a missed opportunity, because that would have been a fucking hilarious short. I do ask this because when I did see that you were cutting by breakdancing, I think somebody, I forget who it was, I want to say it might have been Frank, but somebody was like, this is the best weight cut I think I've ever seen, because you were breakdancing and Facebook Living it. And you were doing a great job of capturing what was happening between, I guess, the behind-the-scenes moments of that. And when you guys were showing the venue and you got that look, there was a great moment between you and Eddie. And you were going around, you were filming, and you could see everybody kind of in their nerves or their mental state. It was the day before, the whole set's getting constructed together. And you guys had an exchange. Do you care to talk about that? Because it seemed like you guys were already indicating right then that that's how you wanted it to go, and that you wanted fate to put you guys both in the finals.
I I felt like Eddie was cheering for me the whole time. Like honestly, he's like slowly throwing like little advices, like, "Hey, this guy right here does this," and like telling me stuff about like my opponent coming up. Like I think he just really we both really want to go up against each other because it's been like a match in the making. And I honestly I'm gonna blame him. It was me the first two or the first EBIs that we could have went up against each other. I just kept missing him at the end. And then obviously when I went to Thailand and I was supposed to compete with him like a month or like a week after, I was like really sick and I just couldn't work. And then the final match, just the promoter had to cancel on us. We were both at Chicago and the promoter had to cancel. And some guys were like trying to get it set up in their garage or some shit, but it wasn't gonna happen that way. But fucking so I think we both just want to go up against each other. Like it's like Eddie's I think he's such a cool guy and he loves jiu-jitsu like I do. That it's like you want to compete against different people that you find their jiu-jitsu interesting and I'm pretty sure or hopefully I think he finds my jiu-jitsu interesting. He likes it and he's always giving me like good feedback and he's always been super cool and like when it comes down to talking when we talk about jiu-jitsu we both respect each other as like neutral and I feel like he was just really wanted that matchup against me and I wanted that matchup against him and we know it was meant to be. We just didn't know why it was meant to be, but I think it was meant to be because I was supposed to beat him first round, and it was supposed to happen this way. I was supposed to get the title, and it was supposed to be in Mexico. It happened the way it happened for a reason, and it was meant to be. And maybe that's going to make him better. And who knows? Maybe he's going to come next match with vengeance, which I expect him to. But guess what? That makes me hungry too. That makes me want to train harder. Like I'm happy I beat him, but am I satisfied? No, I'm not satisfied. Not at all. I want to submit him in 30 seconds, then I'll be, all right, I'm satisfied. I'm not saying that's possible right now, but, that's my goal. Like, I'm not just trying to beat him in overtime or get that victory. Like, that's not my ultimate, goal right there. I want to beat him multiple times, and I want to do it, with style. I want to do it right. With so many different, whatever. I want to beat him in different rule sets. I want to be victorious in many different ways, and I know that's going to happen, and we just have that, like, neutral respect. Like, I respect him a lot. I think he has sick jiu-jitsu. When he competes against anybody else, I'll put my money on him, I always know he's going to go out there and smash him. And like, he's a good competitor, and I accept that rivalry, even though it's not like a beef, like we hate each other. It's more like, man, we want to be better than each other. We both think, we could be the best, and we both think we have a sick style, and we both work hard, and we both train hard, and we both have really good coaches that are really, really unique and really interesting, just people in general, and they have a very good influence in the jiu-jitsu community, and both of us kind of represent our coaches and our lineage, and we both want to make our legacy, and we both want to be remembered for being one of the best submission-only competitors out there, and I know he wants respect from a lot of people, and I want respect from a lot of people ultimately too. So we're just kind of both using each other as a, like, in a sense of motivation. I use him as motivation. Like, I see how good he's doing out there and how dangerous he is, and that inspires me, that motivates me, and not just to be as good as him or better than him, but to be able to beat him and be a good challenge to him and make him get better. I don't know.
Geo, I have to ask this as well, because there was some perception, and you mentioned having a lot of respect for one another, that when Danaher put up that post right after, I think it was EBI 9, that he had put a compliment to you that was saying you were the best of Eddie's students, but many perceived that to be kind of a backhanded compliment, saying that they were, 10th Planet is kind of replicating Danaher's system. Was there any perceived kind of bad influence, or where did you take that statement? Because a lot of the internet blew that up into a very negative statement, and Eddie responded by just saying, thank you, Gary also has a great, I think he was complimenting his lockdown, but was there anything that you perceived in it, or did that, like, strike you as odd at all? John Danaher's a smart guy. Like, he knows what he's writing down, and I think most of us understand what he's writing down. Like, I know where he's coming from, and I get it. I get what he's trying to do, but it's just like,
to me, it's kind of like I didn't expect that from him. That's kind of too predictable to do stuff like that. It's just like really like it just that's kind of like I expect people to say stuff like that. That's like it's been said before. It's been done before. People think that all the time, but like it's just my argument with that is like styles and systems they constantly are evolving. Like you don't stay staggered. You don't stay in one place, and it's really mentalities and different philosophies. They can all root from the same place, but people are just meant to have different opinions or different ideas about similar things, and it just really that's what you preach doesn't mean that's what we preach, and we have our own system, our own philosophies, and Eddie's been Eddie for the longest, and he's always got shit from people, and it's like it's been done before. It's like it's not a surprise. It's like it's been done already, and people are always gonna say stuff like that. It's been like that for a while, and it just kind of makes it predictable. Like when they say, oh, okay, here's another guy like calling Eddie out or calling the system out on stuff that's already been said before. And it's like Eddie's just been doing his shit forever, just kind of trying to do what he does. And if you believe in what Eddie does and you meet him and you like his vibe and you really understand where he's coming from and you want to stick with him, then that's your own opinion. And I feel like that's just he's my master. Eddie's done a lot for me, and I've seen success in my jiu-jitsu and in my life itself because of Eddie. So, to me, it's like, I don't care if Danaher feels that, Eddie's like trying to add leg locks to his system and he copied Danaher. Like, I'm sure Danaher has some influence in it because they're good at leg locks, but Eddie's always been the kind of guy that adds stuff to the system. And no offense, but Danaher didn't make up leg locks, and Hansel didn't make up leg locks. Leg locks been going, from years and years and years. It's like they're old school, It's just now people are really. I see like Sambo guys been doing leg locks for a long time. Catch wrestler guys been doing it for a long time. It's just now it's coming around to jiu-jitsu because of submission only stuff, which is something that Eddie really helped build. So it's like there's a lot of reasons for certain things, and moves come and go. What's next? We're gonna start doing wrist locks, and wrist locks are gonna be the new shit. Like, who cares? Like anybody should be allowed to do what they're doing if they see success in it and it's working out for their system. It's like you're not allowed to do it because Danaher is doing it. They're doing double outside Ashi and they're doing this, so we're not allowed to do it. It doesn't really make sense to me. It's like Eddie's not trying to copy anybody or do anything. Eddie's been himself forever, and he just adds stuff to the system because he's influenced by everybody. That's what makes 10 Planet special. It's like we're influenced by all grappling, everybody, not just one particular thing. We're influenced from all sorts of things, So Eddie's been like that for a long time. So I heard he learned from his lockdown and stuff like that from guys from CSW, like those guys and stuff. So it's like there's a lot of different things that catch wrestlers been doing, or lucha libre. No one made up anything. Nothing new under the sun. That's what I wrote. There's nothing new under the sun. It's like everything's kind of come around. It's just how good can you put it together, and how good can you teach it to your students, and how good can your students pick it up and apply it. And that's definitely something that people like to hate on with 10 Planet. But when you got guys like me, you got guys like Richie, Nathan Orchard, we got a bunch of killers, Danny. Like, there's guys out there that are coming up, and then we have all the brown belts coming up from my school, Richie's school. We have all the new black belts, and we have a lot of new guys that are really going to make a lot of noise coming up soon. And, we're still young. 10 Planet's still young, and I feel a lot of people are going to really realize how dangerous and the system really is real soon. And if they haven't realized now, then, it's just a question of time till they really see the truth.
Well, don't forget,
is all about.
I think the perception for me has always been, this is coming from years ago when leg locks were considered something that people would boo during matches. So you can see a progression of how much more it's been integrated, where people feel a little bit more comfortable, and it's become the norm now. And I think, if I was reading it right, there was some folks on the internet who maybe had the perception as well that it seemed to be kind of a jostling for position. They want to be head of the food chain. You guys have a system, and I don't know if this is something you perceive, but especially with EBI, I think you guys are in a new wave for 10th Planet where you were the outsiders, and now in some ways you guys are kind of the mainstream. So I think that we're now at a place where we're seeing two really, really solid and effective systems trying to be the best. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but I do wonder if that is where, in your perception, it made people want to see that match between you guys all that much more.
Yeah, like of course, like there's that like unspoken beef between us and them. Like obviously they, like I don't know. My perception is they I'm sure they like some of us. Like they have to respect some of us, and like there's a lot of Temp Planet guys that are really cool, and I'm sure there's some that are douchey, whatever. Everyone has different opinions about everybody, but like they acknowledge us, they respect us, but they obviously feel they're better than us, and they think they're the kings, they're on top, and that's fine. Like that's what they have a lot of reasons to feel that way, but like we're not satisfied, we're not done, we're not staying put. We're working hard, and we're staying humble, and we're realizing what we got to do, and it's a never-ending journey. And if I'm not the best in the world one day, then I'm gonna make sure I have students that are the best in the world. You know what I mean? Like we're all striving for that, like to be considered the best in the world. Why? Because that's how jiu-jitsu works. It's just like a lot of people want to prove themselves within battle, within combat, and the best way to do it is like there's no secret to it. It's like you tap someone out, you're better than them. Like that's how it goes. And if you're keeping, I guess count. Danaher, that's why they beating more 10 Planet guys than 10 Planet guys beating them. That's fine, but they got guys. They haven't competed with our guys, and a lot of our guys, are hitting different levels. So it's a wave that comes and goes, and I feel like we're definitely out there, and they're definitely taking notice, and maybe that's why we get feedback from them like that. Maybe that's why Danaher likes to make posts. They're kind of like backhanding us, and that's fine though. I look at it as a kind of like a respect. Like they're looking at us because we're right there with them. You know what I mean? We're another interesting jiu-jitsu organization that has a lot of unique techniques and a lot of upcoming guys that are coming up and getting good real fast. And the game's changing, and it's evolving, and Temp Planet is riding the wave. And we're not, like I said, we're not sitting back staying put. We're working hard, and we're experimenting, and we're creating a lot of dangerous motherfuckers up in here, like there's a lot of good stuff right now,
there's a lot of stuff bubbling under that I think people, I mean, we have the benefit of living in SoCal, so we know we get a little bit of a sneak preview, but I've seen people, not just from 10th Planet, but who are just bubbling under, who I'm waiting to see explode, and I get excited when I hear people get excited about them, and obviously one of that would be, your own student, Ricky Lowell. But let's get into talking about EBI and walk me through the actual competition itself. So day of, we have you facing the very game Christian Woodmansey, who you outweigh by a bit, because it didn't look like Christian had to cut at all any weight.
Yeah.
I think he was a buck 15 with dripping wet and rocks in his pockets. But when that does happen...
I think like, he's a small... I don't know how much he weighs, but I just know it was like he's the smallest guy, and... But he's a gamer, I see him. I know he's an Atos dude, and I trained with him before, and I seen him do, flash a lot of good guys. So I just knew I had to go in there, and like I know he's gonna try to get on me. He's not gonna hold back. So I'm just trying to go hard. I'm not trying to go easy on anybody. So I just knew whoever was in front of me was gonna have a long day either way. Like I was gonna go hard. So it could have been anybody. I was just ready. And he made like a mistake, and I just capitalize on it and finish. I was hunting for submissions, and those kind of tournaments. If you have someone and they smell blood and they see opening, they're gonna take advantage of it, and you can end the match in real quick. So I ended up catching a Darce and just timing it after he did a simple mistake, just a little mistake, but we train for that kind of stuff. I train for openings, and I saw it and I just ran with it, and I'm sure like he's gonna, I'm sure it doesn't feel good losing that quick, but he's a gamer. He's the kind of dude that's gonna get in the lab and work hard out of that. And to me, it made me feel good. It just made me feel prepared, like I was ready for whoever's next.
I mean, if you're asking my perception, which you weren't, but I'll give it to you. When I saw that happen, I literally looked, because I know Christian. I've rolled with Christian. Christian is very fast, very technical, very smart about the way he does what he does. So when I saw you barrel through him very quickly, that's when I knew you were going to be on fire that day, because I thought that was a good setup. And I thought actually putting you guys together first, he's somebody who I thought could go deeper in the tournament had there been a different bracketing system. But when I knew that you guys got paired up together first, I said, they want fireworks to start this event, and I think we got it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I thought too. And like, he's an exciting guy like I am. You know, I thought he was going to bring that.
Yeah, so I mean, we kind of figured it was going to happen. And as Eric was describing from his experience, he's like, you know, he was watching people go in like it was like a stadium full of warriors, and that people would go into this coliseum and then head right back real quick at the very beginning of the event. So people were getting eliminated. He's just like, oh shit, I need to get my brain together. So as that's happening,
it was definitely like that.
You know, you've got that, and then you see Ricky Lul, and you've got this student who. Is it hard for you to then separate there? Because I know that you have the killer mentality, but you also are still an instructor. So you're watching him go through. How is that even reconciled for you?
I've already just, my brother told me, like, when that he's going to take care of it. Like, when he's going up there, not to worry about it. Because Richie's been training with Ricky for a long time. So Richie's like, don't worry about him. I'm going to go coach him. You be a fucking competitor today. I was watching the match on the screen in the back, and I was just like, he was just getting me hyped, you know? Like, every time I was just getting hyped for him. Like, anytime I saw him do anything good or successful, it just made me get even more hype. I just knew he was working hard, and just like every time after his first match, I just like, you know, when I told him to give a big hug, and he just looked at me like, yeah, we're doing this shit. You know, we're both feeling good. Like, let's just go in there and like run through this crowd, you know, and like run through this list right here and like our bracket, and we just kind of both felt ready. So. We both knew we've been training really hard. He's been part of my training camps, you know, so it's been like, Ricky never rests, so he's been in a training camp with me this whole time too, going hard, and he kind of just knew that we've been preparing hard, and like, we have way harder battles in our gym, you know, this is going to be a good night for us, you know?
Yeah, that's so interesting to see, and that, you know, that is one of the things I appreciate about EBI as compared to gentlemen's agreements is you guys do go for it, and that,
oh yeah,
for the fans, it's always a big thing because, you know, nobody likes to see somebody get like the hand raised just to be like, all right, I'm letting him go on because what did we pay for? You know, as a fan, and I'm sure you as well, you want to see something happen.
Yeah.
So I thought that was great of you guys, and you were so complimentary to him. You know, he was going out there. I mean, he had a look where he wanted to kill you too, and there was that one moment that I think that any jiu-jitsu practitioner could relate to when they see their instructor mount their student, and you just go, "Oh no, oh no." Yeah. Geo's gonna finish this real quick. I think at one point you were locking up kind of. Was it a Kimura at the very beginning, and you had this strong grip, and I was just like, oh fuck. Well,
I know Ricky too good, and I've been training with him for a long time, and but don't get me wrong, you know, if I make a mistake, Ricky has fucked me up. You know, he's a dangerous ass dude. You know, he knows how to finish. So I know, like, I wasn't gonna give him any room. I took him serious. I looked at him. I was like, all right, we knew already. We talked already. We told each other we were gonna go hard. We promised Eddie Bravo we were gonna go hard, and you know, we just best man wins, and you know, like, he knew I had a better percentage, but you know, Ricky's a gamer, and you know, if he sees an opportunity, he's like me. He's gonna attack and he's gonna finish, and you know, I just kept everything tight, kept everything smart, and just kind of, you know, kept the pressure on him, and you know, just kind of got to my world, and you know, he got there too deep, and you know, by the time he tried to get out, it was a little too late for him. But you know, if anything, Ricky knows that, you know, his time is gonna come soon. So,
well, he was also,
you know,
I mean, most people would be finished fairly quickly in that transition. So he was really trying to tough it out and work it through, and I think he was able to maybe under free a little bit of one of his trapped arms to try and get back into it. So major props to him, man.
He escaped once or twice, you know, like, he made me work. I was like, man. Afterwards, I had to make, like, my girl massage my arm. Like, I was like holding, like, I had to really tame him down. He's a strong kid, you know. So I definitely feel like I was like working extra hard, but I was like, man, why you make me work so much like that? I'm supposed to just roll over, bro.
Right.
But he's not like that. So
no,
I'm
not at
like
all.
that either.
And
I think keep grinding.
I think you'd be stupid not to come away with a great appreciation from him if you're watching it as a spectator, because, you know, that's exactly what you want, I'm sure, as an instructor for you, and then as a fan to see him have such a great tournament himself. you get excited, and I know you're super proud of him. You wrote a really nice message about him as well afterwards in the fact. So now we're getting to this point where you finish Ricky, and then you see Eddie and Barrett, and I think somewhere in the deep of the abscess of your brain that this could happen, and that you're so close. So how much are you rooting for Eddie to put Barrett away in this match?
I wanted to hurry up. I want to compete already, So it's like, it's just hurry up, like get it over with, like something happened, And then when it happened, I was just like, I already knew, like after it was ready to go. So I just once it happened, it was like, all right, it's game time. Like everything I visualized was happening. So it just felt right,
The joke that we had put in the earlier part of the day was, I believe in his quarterfinal match, Barrett Ishida has his knee attacked, and people were trying to kill him with a heel hook. And I don't know if that there's a Skeletor meme where it's like when people try to insult you, but you're dead inside, and it's of Skeletor laughing. Yeah. I was like, I feel that's Barrett's leg. Like, I feel that's him being like, seriously. Oh, dude, like, it's Jello. Do whatever you want. But then you see a different quality when you look at Eddie Cummings getting in that entry for that inside heel hook, and you go, well, he's Eddie Cummings. So now I'm sure you're looking at it and you're thinking, game on, motherfucker. So if that's the case, we get to the finals now. You're about to hit the stage. What's the first thing you're thinking?
I was just closing my eyes and just kind of trying to stay in the zone, and I kind of like fell asleep. I fell asleep like in a weird way. Like I just like fell into like a weird trance, and I fell asleep, and I just felt really happy, really relaxed, and like I didn't even really I stressed out of the match like weeks before. I thinking about it would stress me out, and I just kind of I didn't feel that. I just felt so relaxed. I was like, it's just like a normal roll. Like it didn't really hit me. It was my body just kind of went on autopilot. And it was like, I'm supposed to roll right now. Just whatever. This is Eddie Cummings. Like no big deal. Just go in there, and I thought it would be more tense, more. I thought everything was gonna be more intense, but it was really just very calm, very relaxing, very. It just felt right.
Well, good for you, because those of us who were watching at home, I thought they needed to add the Jaws music every time he got near anybody's leg, because I just kept hearing oh God, this is a horror movie. Anytime I watched him get anywhere near the legs, I'd just be like, oh nope, oh God, please.
That's how I feel usually, when I watch him, that's how I usually feel, to be honest. But like I said, it's just my body just kind of it was just like a defense mechanism, and it didn't. I didn't want his aura to phase me, I didn't want his energy to get to me. I knew I was whatever, I just accepted him, but I know the reality, I'm not a fool, I know that this guy is fucking Jaws, like you said, he's dangerous. He bites on any of your heels or ankles or even your back, he's fucking dangerous. So I accepted that, and I just told myself, I'm just going for it. I'm just it is what it is. This life, this is what I want. This is what I visualize. Mm-hmm. So, what's the next step? What's supposed to happen here? I gotta just do it right now. I'm ready. I have the opportunity to make this vision reality, and that feels really good. To be able to get into that zone.
How much did, I guess, the game plan vary from what you were expecting in this match?
The game plan is always to finish, to submit as soon as possible. That's always my game plan. But when you get put in a bad situation or you get put in a leg position, the game plan is to survive, not to get caught. And once you get out, to attack again. So, or if you see opportunity to attack and counter. But constantly reminding yourself to stay the fuck away from the heel hook, be safe and don't get tapped. No matter what, if you get tapped, that's the worst thing you can do, So it's I didn't want it to. I don't want to get there, that was what I was just. I knew I got put in a bad situation, and I was like, cool, whatever, I accept it. Now, I got to survive this motherfucking heel hook, and I got to try to be calm, and I just didn't let it phase me. I didn't let it break me. I knew I could survive it. I knew what my mission was at that moment, was to fucking survive, not to fucking. Of course, I can't submit them at that moment. I'm in a bad leg lock position. I got to get out. I got to play smart. I got to, be relaxed, and I can't panic and try to run away and stuff, because that's what he wants me to do. I'm going to sit there and peel myself apart until I get out,
I guess I have a two-part question for this next one. One, is your leg dead? And two, when you are put in those bad positions, was there any one or two particular instances where it was close? Like, were there any moments that you felt, this is really bad in this moment?
No, not really. There's like little hand battles that I lost during the moment. Like I'm like, all right, he got my heel before I peeled that arm out, or blah blah blah. And I was kind of like, I hate losing even little battles like that. But I never felt like I lost. Like he never had my leg extended, or he never had my leg pressured, and I just never felt. I felt he beat me on a couple grip battles, but never beat me in the like angle. He never got the right angle he was looking for, and he was trying to scare me with a bunch of kind of like threats, but they were just kind of like mediocre threats. I knew better, I knew where I was at, and I knew if I made any crucial mistake, he's gonna capitalize on it. So I just played those little details, and I just remembered my leg rules,
Yeah.
So I just played the game, and I just stayed away from the danger zone. I never crossed that line, and I feel like he really was trying really hard to push me over the line, and I just kind of stayed focused and prevailed at that moment.
So I got to ask this because the internet, and not all of the internet, but there is a chapter of it that was saying that you were stalling out. Now,
Yeah.
I would love to hear a response to that, because maybe we saw two different matches. From my own perception, you were in a bad spot and working from it, and it's not the most ideal, but you get caught that way because you're trying to attack something. Is that a little bit more along the lines?
Yeah, if anybody knows me, they know I'm not a staller. I'm the opposite. Like, people, get mad at me because I'm the opposite. I'm known for fucking always going for submissions and always wanting to win by submission, and, that's my goal. Like, ultimately, that's what I do jiu-jitsu for. But, when you get put in certain situations, like, you can't be a dummy. You gotta be smart. I am a black belt. I am smart. I know how to fucking defend a leg lock, and I know the rules. I know the game. It's like, I'm not delusional, like, such a beginner white belt move to do is like, at that moment try to like burst out and run away or something. Like, the smartest thing to do is to stay calm under pressure and survive that bad moment. And once you escape, then you can start thinking about plan B, which is, countering them. But,
yeah,
you got to really be smart with it. You can't just be dumb and not realize what position you're at. I knew exactly where I was at, and I knew exactly what he wanted. He knew exactly what he wanted. And the people that know jiu-jitsu know exactly what's going on there. So, people just say that, they just want to find a reason to say why, to just hate, and that's okay, because if you know who I am ultimately, you know that I'm the dude that's always going to hunt for submissions, and that's kind of like what makes me happy, and that's what I'm known for. And, I'm more of a guy that's going to root for the guy that's going for submissions, of course, But if I'm in the middle of the match and I got to survive, I gotta do what I gotta do, man. Survival's the ultimate jiu-jitsu rule. If you don't survive, you lose, you die.
Yeah.
I don't want to die.
I enjoyed, though, that Gary's response to that, at least from his own social media, was, we don't make any excuses, and I wouldn't expect Eddie to either. But I thought that was a stand-up thing from at least Gary's perspective. So let's say, you get through the regulation. You were put through really tough spots. There was one moment I saw you huffing and puffing right at the end, right as you're about to get into overtime. You looked exhausted. Is that an accurate read?
I'm not exhausted, just like kind of disappointed. Myself. I'm like, man, I had to defend this whole time, and it's like kind of like a breath of like fresh air. Like, all right, now it's my turn to put in work, and like I gotta survive this shit. And it's like it's stressful too, like mentally, because I want to put him in danger, and I was just feeling those little things. So I was like kind of just frustrated that I even got put in that situation, and just kind of trying to stay physically and mentally ready. And sometimes you got to take a deep breath in and out, and kind of get your thoughts together and just kind of get in the zone. But I didn't feel tired. I didn't feel like dead. I didn't feel like I was out of juice. I still had more in me, and I still feel like the match could go my way. So I was never defeated. I felt the whole time I was just kind of mentally trying to just kind of remind myself what's going on and what's happening, and just kind of keep myself focused mentally and not let anything break me. Was I tired? Not tired, but do I have to take a deep breath in and out? Because fucking there's a lot of shit going on. Yeah, like, there's a lot of shit going on right now. Like, it's not like a walk through in the park, you know what I mean? It's like, I'm working right now,
Well, it's the first part of the match. Now you're in the second half, which has a different level of unpredictability as well. But as you had said, you had been training for that and prepping for it. So
Yeah.
let's talk about that, because let's talk to me about these transitions that you were making, because you chose spiderweb position, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just for right now, I got like 5 minutes left because we're like getting here already. But
I
I'll
got you,
answer
dude.
this real fast.
Absolutely. Let's go ahead and get there.
I wasn't sure what I was gonna pick, and I looked at Eddie, and Eddie just kind of like just kind of like mouthed the word spiderweb, and I was like, all right, I didn't even hesitate, and I knew already. I've been really working on my spiderweb, and I feel confident, in the spiderweb. I've been doing this as all the white belt, so just kind of like proving to myself that I have a sick spiderweb was very important to me, because I'm like, this is a big part of 10 planet techniques, and I haven't really got any big wins in spiderweb, and I haven't really proved myself to everybody that I have good spiderwebs, but I know I do, because I put in a lot of time and reps in there. So I just kind of like I just took the risk. I knew if I didn't get it, I would still be able to do the back afterwards. But I took the chance, and it was unexpected. It kind of changed the game a little bit. And I think even Eddie Cummings wasn't expecting that, so that kind of made me feel like even more confident, just seeing the way he reacted towards when I said spiderweb. He's like, really? Like, he was surprised. So it's like once I went there, I hit him with the bicep slicer, and he didn't have no answer for it. His defense was trying to pull out, and I felt that was just making it tighter for me. I was happy. I knew I could ride it out. I have a really good bicep slicer, and I could ride it out for a while. And I was just chilling, and I know his arm was hurting because my arm started hurting. I was like, he has to be feeling this. And the more you pull, the tighter it gets too. So I was just kind of waiting for it. And then once he let go, I try to hit him with either triangle or armbar. So if he keeps pulling away, then I'll get the armbar. If he goes in, then I'll get the triangle. And I crossed my ankles, and he just kept pulling out. So I just ended up hitting him with the armbar. And I knew if I controlled the wrist, and his arm was already worn out because of the bicep slicer, I knew it was my day. And it just felt good to hear him say tap.
Yeah. And when that does happen, did that go as according to you had planned? Had you game planned that? Where was that? I mean, were you surprised, or what was your reaction post that?
It was just like, when you beat a level, like a video game level or something, it's just kind of like you beat the boss. Like, that's what it felt like. I just beat the boss, and like I heard like a theme song, and then and then I realized there's a bonus round that he was going to try to submit me. So I was like, oh shit, all right, I got to get in the zone. But it was like a victory, like a baby victory, a small victory within the battle, like I was saying earlier. And I ended up, catching him, and it was like something that I wasn't sure if I was capable of doing, or anybody else was capable of doing. And just that I did it, the fact that I did it, it was a good accomplishment. I was like, all right, like that just kind of answers that for me. Like, he is human, and he will tap if you fucking break his arm almost, so it's like, so it just felt, it felt like a good accomplishment. It just felt right. I felt like, all right, I got this.
I like that. Well, I know you got to get going. I got just a couple small question for you. I know people want to ask this because they want to see it, but my friend, will we see a rematch? And are we, in what format, or what are you down for? Because I know you're not satisfied.
Definitely a rematch coming soon. What format? I don't know. It might be an EBI. It might be submission only. Who knows? But I'm ready. And whoever has the best offer, let's do it.
Awesome. Geo, I want to say thank you so much for taking the time. I know you've been a busy man. I know you're about to go get a hero's welcome over at headquarters right now, where you're bringing the belt with you. And I got to tell you, man, you have been so steadily progressing and increasing. And as somebody who watches and is a huge fan of the sport, not only have you been super gracious to us, but you're an easy person to get behind. And I think any person who logically watches jiu-jitsu doesn't care about the beef or perceived beef that people are manufacturing. I think we just care about the jiu-jitsu between you and Eddie, and you and Eddie delivered. So on behalf of jiu-jitsu fans, we just want to say thank you so much. And I know if this is a new level and a new ring for what it is that you're doing right now, and you're not even done, we look forward to seeing what happens next, man.
Thanks, man. Really appreciate everything, and thanks for the support, and I'll keep supporting you guys, and like I said, I appreciate guys like you guys that just want to make the community grow, and I'll just keep repping, and hopefully I'll be seeing you guys soon.
Most definitely. You get out of here. You go enjoy yourself, sir. You go fucking celebrate that you deserved. Ladies and gentlemen, our good friend, the incomparable Geo Freakazoid Martinez. Geo.
Freaks don't sleep. Later, man.
That was some interview, right? Totally worth making a special episode midweek. I know you guys, you'd already seen that we did an episode this week. You figured we were done, and I thought so too. But when you get an opportunity like this, you gotta take it. You gotta make sure that you get the exclusive, the goods, and I think Geo gave that to us today. What I was most surprised about was his very candid answers to so many of the questions that we were able to put forth for him today, and that's just what it is for Geo. And if I can maybe take a guess here as to why people like him so much, it's because of this. Geo exudes such a fan perspective in terms of getting hype for jiu-jitsu. So when you have that, and you have the ability to see someone get excited and say things like, when I see other people competing, I want to be in there, that's the type of person you want to root for. At my own viewing party, where I went to go see it, and it was the Mat Therapy folks who put it together, the place came unglued when he won. And those things you can't manufacture in life. So it was cool to get his perspective and compile it with so many of the outpouring of appreciation and awesomeness. And at the same point, getting to ask him point blank what he thought of those people who said that he was stalling out. Because I just find it very fascinating that people are going to find ways to hate on this, when in actuality, they gave us a great match, and he's willing to do a rematch. So, you know, it's not just props to Geo, it's props to him and Eddie, and I like that they have a great rivalry, and I hope that we continue to see them compete. And, you know, if the two of them step foot on a mat, it's going to be a hard thing to turn down. So I can't thank him enough for really explaining, I guess, his own perspectives on the matches. And it's cool to also hear from the other side, because like I said, I was so busy helping Eric as much as I could that when we started looking around to like the big players like your Geos and your Eddies and your Barrett Yoshidas and trying to get Eric ready, it's really hard to replicate their games or to really give them that kind of experience. So to hear him say such nice things about Eric was also a great thing. So I guess what I'm saying is, when you move past it all and it's all said and done, jiu-jitsu is all about these great moments that you get. So our thanks to him. And I gotta say, there's something really cool for us to have talked with him as he was getting ready to go, as you heard at the very end of the interview, to 10th Planet. And you have to know that's got to be a special day for him, that he held down the banner for that school, and he was bringing the belt, he's getting a hero's reception here tonight. So something about today made it super special for us to be a part of, and we thank him and all of you for listening to the second episode that we did here this week. We hope that you guys you check out all of our interviews. I just did a great recap episode with our good friend Eric Medina yesterday on Facebook Live, and I have to say this because it is so cool. We gave Eric a little bit of a ribbing because we found some funny photos. And we were able to talk all about his perspective for the great match he had with Barrett Yoshida. But there was nothing better to me than when I saw on our Facebook Live page that Barrett Yoshida himself liked our video. Now, I can't tell you if that means Barrett watched a whole bunch of it or any of it, but it goes to show that this sport is sometimes even cooler than you can think about, because we just do that telecast because I want to hear what my friend has to say. I want to hear his unique experience. And it's really cool when you have a warrior like Barrett Yoshida who supports Eric. And I've heard rumors. I don't want to put anything out there, but I've heard rumors that Yoshida himself is interested in possibly doing a seminar over at the LA Jiu-Jitsu Club. So more information on that when it becomes available. But at its best, guys, that's what this sport is. And, I don't want to keep espousing on that for too long, but I'm going to give a quick shout out to a couple folks. Again, shout out to Geo. And, this is the weird part. We didn't even get the chance to talk about what the hell is going on this weekend that Geo is putting on, because him and his brother actually are doing this really, really cool thing over in San Diego this weekend. It's an event, I believe, It is called the Ultimate Mat Warriors, and it is a competition over in San Diego. It's taking place at 9 a.m., and guys, you get money if you compete. It's for white belts, blue belts, purple belts. There's going to be a women's division with white and blue belts, and this is my favorite thing that they have as the tag. The winner of each division will get a cash prize. So who's going to win this money? That's what it says on the copy on the page, at least from Boogie. So if you guys are in the area, please go support that. I would have loved to have talked with them about that, but I think we took up enough of his time here tonight. So like I said, a cool night for us here at Verbal Tap, but an even better night for Jiu-Jitsu. So I just want to give another shout out to obviously the LA Jiu-Jitsu Club, having some great training over there. And I want to give a shout out to our good friend Kevin Phillips, who by the time he hears this, he's probably going to be celebrating his birthday. And since he's not here to tell me I can't say anything, I'll go ahead and say this. Kevin is such a fun person to do this show with, and it sucks when we don't do this show with him. We've only done it like a couple times, and we always try to involve him when he's away, and it's only been like, 3 times out of 200 episodes. But the next time we interview Geo Martinez, we are going to do our best to have Kevin on the line, because I know for sure he's going to geek out on so many of the things that Geo was talking about here tonight. Anyway, folks, that's going to do it for us here at Verbal Tap here tonight. It's been fun. We hope you liked this episode. If you like others, go ahead and check them out on our Buzzsprout page. If you're on iTunes, give us a nice 5-star review. And I mean, you don't have to give us 5 stars, but like, don't be a dick. Like, really, just give us 5 stars. It's not that hard. Anyway, guys, this is Rafa Esparza saying goodnight to you guys. Oh, wait. Yeah, I guess I should just go ahead and end it there. Normally I say goodnight and good fight, but do whatever you want. Peace out, guys.